الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا فمن يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So last lesson is when we had the seerah, we spoke about the last event regarding the Battle of Badr, and that was when the disbeliever had asked the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to join him in battle, and he said, لن أستعين بمشرك, that I'll never seek help with a mushrik. So, in continuing of the things that I also narrated that occurred during this time, is Abu Sufyan يستنفر Quraysh, that Abu Sufyan calling upon the Quraysh to make way to the caravan to safeguard the wealth. Because also what is mentioned, Abu Sufyan, he's the one who was entrusted with that caravan. He was in charge of that caravan that had all of the wealth of the Quraysh to trade on their behalf. So he was on the of great concern in preserving and protecting that wealth. فكان يسأل في طريقه كل من لقي من ركبان. Anyone he found that was riding, he would ask them to find out news about the coming of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. حتى جاءه الخبر من بعد الركبان أن محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم قد استنفر أصحابه للعير, until the news came to him that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam had sent some of his companions to target the caravan. So Abu Sufyan, he hired someone called Damdam ibn Amr al-Ghifari, and sent him to Mecca to inform them of what he had gained of news about the coming of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam or his companions after the caravan of their wealth. أمر أن يأتي قريشا فيستنفرهم إلى أموالهم. He commanded him to go hurry to the Quraysh and encourage them to go after their wealth, to go and protect their wealth. ويخبرهم أن محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم قد عرض لها في أصحابه. And the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, and he's going after with his companions. So Damdama, he hastened until he came to the open valley of the Quraysh, of Mecca, and he began to scream, shout out loud, Ya ma'ashara Quraysh, O people of Quraysh, Al-Latima, Al-Latima. Al-Latima, this means the caravan of the camels that are carrying the wealth. I go after, seek the caravan. أموالكم مع أبي سفيان قد عرض لها محمد في أصحابه لا أرى أن تدركوها الغوث. So he's saying here, Abu Sufyan, your money, your wealth is with Abu Sufyan, And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has sent his companions upon it. And I don't think that you'll catch it. So help, help. He's calling out to them, calling out to the people of Quraysh. And he was sent by Abu Sufyan. But the thing that is mentioned, قبل يقدم ضمضم إلى مكة بثلاث ليال. Before Damdam made it to Mecca by 3 nights, رأت عاتقة بنت عبد المطلب عمة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. Atiqa, she was the aunt of the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. And she was the paternal aunt. And she had seen in a dream, and she embraced Islam and also made hijrah. She had seen in a dream by 3 days before Damdam made it to Mecca. And this dream had caused her to become scared. She became fearful of this dream. So she sent to her brother Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib radiallahu anhu, and she said to him, "Oh my brother, Ya akhi wallahi laqad ra'aytu al-laylata ru'ya afda'atni wa takhawwaftu an yadkhula ala qawmika minha sharrun wa musibah." She mentioned that I had seen tonight in the dream a vision that had scared me. That I see it as something that is big, it's worried me. I'm fearful that your people may find from it some harm or a form of calamity. فَاكْتُمْ عَنِّي مَا أُحَدِّثُكَ بِهِ. So conceal from me that which I'm going to narrate to you. فَقَالَ لَهَا مَا وَمَا رَأَيْتِ. He said, what did you see? قالت رأيت راكبا أقبل على بعير له. I saw a rider on his camel. حتى وقف بالأبطح. Until he came to the valley of Mecca. ثم صرخ بأعلى صوته. And he shouted with his loudest voice, ألا انفروا يا آل غدر لمصارعكم في ثلاث. He mentioned, hasten, O people, for your combat in 3 days. And this was 3 nights before Damdam made it to Mecca. ثم أخذ صخرة فأرسلها. And then he took a rock and he threw it. فأقبلت تهوي. It started to come fast حتى إذا كانت بأسفل الجبل ارفضت. Until it came to the bottom of it was hurrying until it came to the bottom of the mountain and it broke into pieces. فما بقي بيت من بيوت مكة إلا ولا دار إلا دخلتها منه فلقة. And there was no house from the houses of Mecca except that a piece of it had entered it. فقال العباس والله إن هذه لرؤيا. Said, by Allah, this is a vision. وأنت فاكتميها. As for you, then conceal it. ولا تذكريها لأحد. And don't mention it to anyone. ثم خرج العباس فلقي الوليد ابن عتبة ابن ربيعة وكان له صديقا فذكرها له واستكتمه إياها فذكرها الوليد لأبيه عتبة ففشى الحديث بمكة حتى تحدثت به قريش في أنديتها. He mentioned Abbas, he took the news of that dream from Atiqa and he met Walid ibn Utbah ibn Rabi'ah and informed him, and he was a friend of his, he informed him and told him, conceal it, don't tell no one. Now, however, Walid, he told his father Utbah, ففشل الحديث, فشل الحديث, انتشر الحديث. This became widespread until it reached the people of Mecca, and in the councils they started to discuss this matter. And Abbas, he mentioned فغدوت لأطوف بالبيت, that he left in the morning to go and make tawaf. وأبو جهل بن هشام في رهط. And Abu Jahl, he was in a small group of men, less than 10. قال يا أبا الفضل إذا فرغت من طوافك فأقبل إلينا. He said, يا أبا الفضل, when you finish your tawaf, come to us. فلما فرغت أقبلت حتى جلست معهم. So when I finished tawaf, I went and I sat with them. فقال لي أبو جهل, Abu Jahl, he said, يا بني عبد المطلب, O son of, O children of Abdul Muttalib, متى حدثت فيكم هذه النبية? Yani when did this prophet come to you? But talking about Atika as a female prophet. قال فقلت وما ذلك? And he said, so what? And he said, what are you talking about? قال تلك الرؤيا التي رأت عاتكة. Or that Nabiya can mean that news as well. He said, that vision that was seen by Atika. قال فقلت يعني وما رأت? What did she see? قال يا بني عبد المطلب أما رضيتم أن يتنبأ رجالكم حتى تنبأ نساؤكم. He mentioned, O children of Abdul Muttalib, does it please you that your men do not know until the women are informed of you? قد زعمت عاتكة في رؤياها. She had claimed in her dream أنه قال انفروا في ثلاث فسنتربص بكم هذه الثلاث فإن يكن حقا ما تقول فسيكون وإن تمضي الثلاث ولم يكن من ذلك شيء كتبنا عليكم كتابا أنكم أكذب أهل بيت في العرب. So I mentioned that she says in her dream, she claims that a man told to disperse within 3 days. I get ready for encountering the battle in 3 days. So we're going to wait with you these 3 days. And if what she says is true, then it is what it is. And if the 3 days go by and nothing happens of what she has said, then we'll write a letter that you are the most deceitful liars of the people of the Arab. That's something that was dear to the Arab, their honor, their lineage. So we made known that the people of Bani Abdul Muttalib, they are liars. That is what will be written about you. قال عباس فوالله ما كان مني إليه كبير إلا أني جحدت ذلك وأنكرت أن تكون رأت شيئا ثم تفرقنا. He said, by Allah, it wasn't from me anything to him big, except that I rejected. Yani, jahadtu is when you reject something upon knowledge. So I rejected what he's saying, despite knowing the reality, and I said she didn't see anything. Like in al-jahad is when you reject something, but you know it, you have knowledge of it. قال العباس فلما أمسيت لم تبق امرأة من بني عبد المطلب إلا أتتني فقالت أقررتم لهذا الفاسق الخبيث أن يقع في رجالكم ثم قد تناول النساء وأنت تسمع ثم لم يكن عندك في ذلك غيرة لشيء مما سمعت. He mentioned that night there wasn't one woman from the tribe of Bani Abdul Muttalib except that they came to me and said, how did you affirm what this evil, immoral person has said, that he speaks ill of your men and what he has said about your women, and you hear this and you didn't have any zeal or jealousy regarding this of what you've heard from him? قال فقلت قد والله فعلت ما كان مني إليه من كبير وأيم الله لا تعرضن له فإن عاد لأكفينكنه. He mentioned, I said by Allah, I said what it was between me and him wasn't anything big. And by Allah, do not go out to him, do not expose yourself to him. But if he was to return, then I will suffice you. I will surely suffice you from him. قال فغدوت في اليوم الثالث من رؤيا عاتكة وأنا حديد مغضب. He mentioned, so I went out in the morning on the third day from the dream of Atika, and I was severely angry. أرى أني قد فاتني منه أمر أحب أن أدركه منه. It was seen that I had missed from him a matter that I would love to have caught onto. قال فدخلت المسجد فرأيته. So I entered the masjid and I saw it. فوالله إني لأمشي نحوه أتعرضه ليعود لبعض ما قال فأقع به. So he's angry because he didn't do nothing to him from what he was saying about his people before. So he's saying, when I entered the masjid, I saw him, and by Allah, I walked towards him so I can go to him. لِيَعُودَ لِبَعْضِ مَا قَالَ فَأَقَعَ بِهِ. So he can return to some of the things that he was saying, so he can address him in that. وَكَانَ رَجُلًا خَفِيفًا. He was a light man. حَدِيدَ الْوَجْهِ, but a stern face. حَدِيدَ الْلِسَانِ, sharp tongued. حَدِيدَ النَّظَرِ, and he's sharp-sighted. قال إذ خرج نحو باب المسجد يشتد فقلت في نفسي ما له لعنه الله أكل هذا فرق مني أن أشاتمه. So he mentioned here that when he left towards the door of the masjid, يشتد, in a stern manner, فَقُلْتُ فِي نَفْسِ, I said to myself, what's with him that Allah curses him? Is all of this out of fear from me that I'm going to curse him or something? وَإِذَا هُوَ قَدْ سَمِعَ مَا لَمْ أَسْمَعْ. But it was that he heard something I didn't hear. صوت ضمضم بن عمر الغفاري وهو يصرخ ببطن الوادي واقفا على بعيره. Suddenly he heard that which I didn't hear, and that was the voice of Damdam screaming that the Prophet Muhammad and his companions are going after the caravan. So it shows that the dream of Atika was what? Was true. And the things that were mentioned that occurred, what he said, was said. ففزعت قريش أشد الفزع وأشفقوا من قبل رؤيا عاتكة. So they became scared, fearful, because of the dream that was seen by Atika. That she mentioned a man will come in 3 days to proclaim that the people of the Quraysh are to leave out for battle. This hadith in itself is narrated a number of times and it is da'if. However, they mention because of the number of narrations that it has, that it's become hasan li ghayrihi. It's become acceptable due to the many narrations of this hadith. Now, but after this, what happened? The kuffar of the Quraysh, they started to prepare themselves to go to fight the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions. It says, فَتَجَهَّزَ النَّاسُ سِرَاعًا وَقَالُوا أَيَظُنُّ مُحَمَّدٌ وَأَصْحَابُهُ أَن تَكُونَ كَعِيرِ بْنِ الْحَضْرَمِي. And was mentioned, they hastened in preparing themselves and they said, does Muhammad and his companions think this is going to be like the caravan of Ibn al-Hadrami that they had previously captured, and that was when Amr ibn al-Hadrami was killed, and all of the caravan was seized by the Muslims. It mentions كلا والله ليعلمن غير ذلك. Said no, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're going to come to know other than that. It will not be the case. فنفروا على كل صعب وذلول. So they hastened and they dispersed upon every كل صعب من الدواب. Yani these are things that were complicated or difficult to ride, and that which was dhulul, that which is easy. Any means necessary, any riding beast they could gather, they would go out on them and disperse upon them. كانوا بين رجلين إما خارج وإما باعث مكانه رجلا. And the men were of two types. Either they would go themselves or they would send someone in their place. And he mentions وَأَوْعَبَتْ قُرَيْشٍ. أَوْعَبَتْ قُرَيْشٍ, and all of the people left out. All of the chiefs. فَلَمْ يَتَخَلَّفْ مِنْ أَشْرَافِهَا أَحَدٌ. None of the chiefs of the people of the Quraysh, they remained behind. Everyone exited and came out in order to go to battle with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. إِلَّا أَبُو لَهَبْ ibn Abd al-Muttalib. Except for Abu Lahab. He stayed behind and sent someone in his place who was called Al-Asi ibn Hisham ibn Mughira. He sent him in his place. No. And no one else was stayed behind. No. Also was mentioned Umayyah ibn Khalaf, he wanted to stay behind. And he was someone that was very old. He was very senior in age. But Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayyid came to him whilst he was sitting in a masjid among his people, and he came with mijmara fiha narun wa mujmar. He came with like a coal burner that had fire in it and coal, and he placed it in between his hands and he said, Ya Umayyah, istajmir, burn yourself with the coal, or use the perfume. Istajmir is like bukhur, and use the perfume. فَإِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ, because you are from the women. فَقَالَ لَهُ أُمَيَّةُ قَبَّحَكَ اللَّهُ وَقَبَّحَ مَا جِئْتَ بِهِ. May Allah disfigure you, deform you, make you ugly, or may Allah blacken your face and that which you have come with. But look at that, this is the thing, they took pride in this. You're going to stay back, you're a woman. Because one of the things that's known, men, they have to go to what? To battle. And this is the killer of feminism. Whenever women have fought for equality between them and men, have they ever included war? Never. The only equality they want is in what? Paycheck. And house and status and inheritance and the likes. As for war, no. That's when we remember who's men and who's women. That's when I say it's not befitting for me as a woman to go to war. No. That's for you men. It's okay. That's when it's allowed to be men and allowed to be women. When it comes to going to battle. You never find a woman saying, we want equality, we want to also go to war. We want to be frontline, we want to be sergeants. We want to be commanders. Yeah, they don't say this. Despite you have someone who want to fight, yes, but you won't find feminists saying, we want equality in war. Abadan. No chance. Illa ida jannat, except that she had lost her faculties. Allahu musta'an. But the thing that's mentioned, why did Umayyah fear or dislike to go out into battle? He didn't want to go into battle because of what is narrated by Bukhari in Sahih من حديث عبد الله بن مسعود رضي عنه يحدث عن سعد بن معاذ رضي الله عنه. سعد بن معاذ رضي الله عنه, he was a friend of Umayyah ibn Khalaf, and Umayyah ibn Khalaf, when he would go to Medina, he would stay with Sa'd, and when Sa'd went to Mecca, he would stay with Umayyah. They were friends. فلما قدم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المدينة انطلق سعد معتمرا. When the Prophet came to Medina, Sa'd, he went to go to Umrah. So it shows at the time that the companions were permitted to perform Umrah without the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, so he came to Umayyah. So Sa'd, he said to Umayyah, look for a time for me that it will be free, that I can go and make tawaf around the Kaaba. So around midday he went out, but then he encountered Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl, one of the most stern enemies of Islam. He said, Ya Aba Safwan, and that was the title of Umayyah. Man hada ma'ak, who's this with you? He said, هذا سعد. فقال أبو جهل ألا أراك تطوف بمكة آمنا. He said, do I not see you making tawaf safely around the Kaaba? وقد أويتم الصباة. And I mean, here is referring to you had left the religion and gone to this new religion. So saba'a, fulan, it means a person left their religion and went to another religion. So they used to call the Prophet ﷺ as-sabi, as-sabi'u. So he said, awaytum as-sobata. Awaytum, yani you have given shelter to, granted shelter. As-sobata is the plural of as-sabi. As-sabi'u, which is the one who left their religion and went into another religion.
Is the same way the Shaykh has said Muqtad today? Muqtad.
No. This is talking about, this is the kuffar saying this.
Okay.
This is Abu Jahl saying this. وَزَعَمْتُ أَنَّكُمْ تَنْصُرُونَهُمْ وَتُعِينُونَهُمْ, and you claim that you are helping them and aiding them. أَمَا وَاللَّهِ لَوْلَا أَنَّكَ مَعَ أَبِي صَفْوَانٍ مَا رَجَعْتَ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِكَ سَالِمًا. He said, by Allah, if it wasn't that you was with Abu Safwan, you would never have returned back to your family safely. So it shows as well, people, it's like some people had status that when you're with them, you have a level of protection, and they would respect that, they wouldn't transgress that. That shows the Arab, despite at the time they still had principle. They still had principle. That's why it was possible to make covenants and contracts with them, because they would honor those things. Because they wouldn't like to be known as liars or people of deception, unlike today. Wallahu musta'an. What did Sa'ad say? رفع صوته عليه. He raised his voice, shouted and said, أما والله لئن منعتني هذا لأمنعنك ما هو أشد عليك منه طريقك على المدينة. He said, as for me by Allah, if you are to prevent me this, then I will surely prevent you that which is more severe upon you than this, your path to Medina. فقال له Umayyah said to him, don't raise your voice, Sa'ad, over Abu al-Hakam, although he's Abu Jahl. Sayyid Ahl al-Wadi, he is the chief of the people of the valley. He was at their head. فقال سعد دعنا عنك يا أمية. He said, leave us, O Umayyah, فوالله لقد سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إنهم قاتلوك. He said, leave us, Umayyah, because indeed by Allah I heard the Prophet Muhammad say that they're going to kill you. فقال أمية بمكة in Mecca. قال لا أدري, he said, I don't know. ففزع لذلك أمية فزعا شديدا. Umayyah became severely fearful of this. He's an old man. He's been told they're going to kill you. As for where, he doesn't know. So if someone's told you're a kafir, of course you have fear in your heart that death is going to come to you, they're going to murder you. You're not going to want to go out. Especially when you've heard the dream of Atika being discussed and it came true. So can you imagine how they're thinking? Especially people like this who worship idols and they believe in superstitions and the likes. But again, as we know, the thing that the Prophet Muhammad aided with is al-ru'b, masirata shahrin, that Allah aided him with fear in the hearts of the disbelievers from the distance of 1 month's travel, and the fear will enter their hearts, trembling with fear. So he became very fearful of this. فلما رجع أمية إلى أهله قال يا صفوان ألم تري ما قال لي سعد. When he turned home, he said to his wife, don't you see what Sa'ad has said to me? And she said, what did he say to you? He said he claimed that Muhammad informed him that they are going to kill me. So I said to him, in Mecca? He said, I don't know. So I said, Wallahi la akhruju min Mecca. He said, I will not leave Mecca. So when it was the time of the Yom of Badr, istanfara Abu Jahl al-Nas. When it was the time of Battle of Badr, Abu Jahl, he rounded the people to go to battle. فقال أدرك عيركم فكره أمية أن يخرج فأتاه أبو جهل فقال له يا أبا صفوان إنك متى يراك الناس قد تخلفت وأنت سيد أهل الوادي تخلفوا معك. He said when it was time to leave, he didn't want to go, and Abu Jahl came to him and said, you are of the chiefs of the people, so when the people see that you don't go, they're also going to try to stay behind. فلم يزل به أبو جهل حتى قال أما إذا غلبتني فوالله لأشترين أجود بعير بمكة. He mentioned that Abu Jahl did not leave him until he said, if you are to overcome me, then by Allah I will buy the most dear of camels in Mecca. ثم قال أمية يا أم صفوان جهزيني. He said, oh mother of Safwan, get me ready. فقالت له يا أبا صفوان وقد نسيت ما قال لك أخوك al-Yathribi. Yathribi, yani the one that's from Medina. Because of the names of Medina before it was Yathrib. She said, have you not, I said, oh, Abu Safwan, have you forgot what your friend from Medina said to you? قال لا ما أريد أن أجوز معهم إلا قريبا. He mentioned, no, I don't want to go with them except for a bit. فلما خرج أمية أخذ لا ينزل منزلا إلا عقل بعيره. When he left, he did not pass a house except that he would tie his camel. فلم يزل بذلك حتى قتله الله عز وجل ببدر. And he remained in that case until Allah took his life at Badr. So from this we learn the mu'jizat of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, from the miracles of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that are apparent, that he would inform of matters of the unseen by way of revelation, not that he knew it except until Allah had informed him. And also the strength and certainty and conviction that Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh had, that he was firm when he confronted Abu Jahl, and that firm conviction that he had and certainty in his Islam, that strength, that courage and bravery that he had. Also that Umrah was something that was done from early, was all the things that was legislated from early. And the Sahaba, they were permitted to perform Umrah before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ performed Umrah, but that's not the case with Hajj. That wasn't the case with Hajj. Now, so we'll stop there today, inshallah. Salah is now 8 o'clock today.
No. 15.
Is it still 8:15? This is wrong?
Yes. Yeah, that's wrong.
No.
Tomorrow.
So, okay, from tomorrow is 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Inshallah. But the next topic that we'll start to talk about within the Battle of Badr is the preparations of the kuffar of the Quraysh. But as we can see, there's so much lessons of the things that occurred during the time. And other works may go into more details. These details are not really mentioned in When the Moon Split. It just gives you a very concise summary of the events. So I referred to other works to get some more details, to even get some feelings from the environment of the Muslims during that time and the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aided the Muslims with, and also understanding the fear that entered the hearts of the disbelievers at that time, and the causes of that, especially the dream of Atika and the news that Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh had brought to Umayyah, Abu Safwan. And other than this, that will come to mention a number of events during this time, but prior to the battle, until we make it to the Battle of Badr. So again, we will spend some time on this, and هذا أعظم الغزوات, as we mentioned. This is the greatest of the battles that the Prophet Muhammad participated in. So it's only right that we give it due time and ponder of all the lessons that we can benefit from that are mentioned within it, inshaAllah ta'ala. As there's a lot of things that are covered, subhanAllah. Just give you an idea. So we've got about 100 pages on the Battle of Badr alone, inshallah. So we'll take a decent amount of time, inshallah. As these battles, they are significant in the change of dynamics regarding the growth of the Ummah Islamiyah the Muslims nation in Medina, as that's when they started to gain strength. That's when the dynamics they changed, you know, and they didn't have the lesser hand. The Muslims had gained strength, and it's important that we revise the seerah, because then we learn what gave the Muslims strength as to what we need to return to today for the Muslims to regain strength and stability, as we're in a time when the affairs of the Muslims are scattered. And we ask Allah to rectify our affairs. Because that is why you find the weakness of the Ummah in regards to the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Palestine and Sudan and other places of the Muslim lands where the Muslims are being oppressed. So ask Allah to aid all and grant them victory and steadfastness. Allahumma ameen. نكتفي بهذا المصلي وسلم على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.